The observation deck of the Galactic Council station hummed with the nervous energy of a dozen species. Ambassador Lisa Chen stood before the semicircular assembly, her hands clasped behind her back, presenting humanity's petition for full council membership. The holographic displays showed Earth's technological achievements, cultural diversity, and scientific contributions. Councillor Vrekthar, a towering insectoid from the Chitauri Collective, clicked his mandibles dismissively. Your species is too young, too volatile. You have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. Lisa maintained her diplomatic smile, though Max Rodriguez, her security attaché, noticed the slight tension in her jaw. He'd worked with her long enough to recognize that tell. From his position near the entrance, Max scanned the room with the practiced ease of someone who'd spent 15 years in Earth's special operations before joining the diplomatic corps. We understand your concerns, Lisa replied smoothly. However, humanity has much to offer. The station's alarm cut through her words like a plasma blade through steel. Red emergency lights bathed the chamber as a distorted voice crackled over the communication system. Attention all council members. We are the Krevnak Swarm. This station is now under our control. You will surrender immediately, or we will vent the atmosphere from all inhabited sectors. The chamber erupted into chaos. The councillors, species that had known peace for millennia, froze in panic. The Chitauri's exoskeleton began secreting stress pheromones. The gelatinous Yurnix ambassador quivered uncontrollably. Even the supposedly militaristic Drakon representative's scales flushed pale yellow, a sign of fear. Max's hand moved to his sidearm before his conscious mind registered the threat. 20 years of combat instincts didn't disappear just because you put on a suit. Lisa, get behind the podium. Reinforced structure, he said quietly, his voice dropping into what his old unit called his operator tone. Calm, cold, efficient. Lisa didn't argue. She'd seen Max in action during the Mars colony incident. She moved swiftly while Max approached the central security console, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface with surprising dexterity for someone trained primarily in kinetic warfare. The station's defensive systems are offline, trembled Councillor Yurshep, a 4-armed amphibian whose species had evolved on a peaceful paradise world. We have no military presence here. This is a place of diplomacy. Max's laugh was sharp and humorless. That's your first mistake. His fingers continued their rapid work. Lisa, how many Krevnak are we talking about? She accessed her datapad, her diplomatic training giving way to the strategic mind that had earned her a doctorate in xenopolitical warfare theory. Intelligence reports suggest a typical swarm raiding party runs between 50 and 200 hostiles. They're scavengers, opportunists. They hit soft targets. Soft targets, Max repeated, pulling up the station's schematic. They just made their second mistake. Councillor Vrekthar's mandibles chattered. What was there first? Max looked up, and for the first time, the council members saw something that made their various biologies react with instinctive unease. His eyes had changed. Still human, still intelligent, but now carrying something ancient and primal. Predator's eyes. They trapped a human on a space station with people he's responsible for protecting. His fingers flew across the interface. The defensive systems aren't offline. They're locked out. Different thing entirely. He pulled out a small device from his jacket. Civilian tech by council standards, but he'd modified it extensively. Council security uses quantum encryption. Very sophisticated. But they built it to keep out civilized intrusions, not what? Asked the Yurnix ambassador, his gelatinous form rippling with confusion. Not someone willing to brute force it by overloading the entire power grid for 3 seconds and rebooting the system with my own access codes, loaded in the buffer. That could cause a cascading failure across multiple. Yep, Max pressed the final command. The lights died. For exactly 3 seconds, the observation deck existed in absolute darkness, long enough for every prey species in the room to feel the evolutionary terror of blindness. Then the emergency systems kicked in, bathed in Max's override codes. Welcome back, Station Defense Grid, Max muttered. Lisa, I need you to open a channel to the Krevnak. Tell them we're ready to negotiate. Negotiate? Vrekthar sputtered. You just said, I lied. Max's smile would have looked friendly on anyone else. On him, it looked like a wolf deciding whether to play with its food. I'm not negotiating, but they don't know that yet. Lisa opened the channel. The Krevnak commander appeared, a creature of chitin and rage, mandibles dripping with threat pheromones. Humans. You will surrender, or Station Defense Protocol Omega, Max interrupted, speaking clearly to the computer. Authorization Rodriguez Delta 79er. Target all Krevnak biosignatures. Weapons free. The Krevnak commander's faces actually, as the plural insectoid species possessed multiple visual organs, registered something that might have been confusion, then fear, then nothing at all as the station's concealed defense turrets emerged from walls, ceilings, and floors, their targeting lasers painting every hostile aboard the station. The engagement lasted 14 seconds. The silence that followed felt heavier than the vacuum outside. Status report, Max said, his voice still carrying that eerie calm. All hostile biosignatures neutralized, the computer responded. Minimal structural damage. No civilian casualties. Max holstered his weapon. He'd drawn it at some point, though none of the counselors could remember when, and straightened his tie. The predator faded from his eyes, replaced by the professional security officer. Almost. Lisa stepped forward, smoothing her jacket. As I was saying before the interruption, humanity has much to offer the Galactic Council. We understand you have concerns about our volatility. She gestured to Max, who had returned to his position by the door, as if the last 5 minutes hadn't happened. But perhaps you now understand that humanity also offers something else. Something your peaceful civilization hasn't needed for millennia, but might appreciate having on your side. Counselor Vrekthar's mandibles clicked slowly. And what is that, Ambassador Chen? Lisa's smile was diplomatic, professional, and just slightly sharp. Protection. You've forgotten what it means to be predators. We haven't. We evolved running down prey across African plains, hunting megafauna with primitive tools, climbing to the top of Earth's food chain despite being weaker, slower and smaller than almost everything that wanted to eat us. We didn't survive by being the strongest. We survived by being the most relentless, the most adaptable, and the most absolutely terrifyingly stubborn species our planet ever produced. She paused, letting her words sink in. You've built a beautiful, peaceful civilization. Let us be the ones who ensure it stays that way. The vote for Humanity's Council membership was unanimous. As they left the chamber, Counselor Urshep approached them with his forearms trembling slightly. That was educational, Mr. Rodriguez. Tell me, are all humans capable of such efficiency? Max considered the question seriously. Most of us, sir. We just don't advertise it. We prefer being underestimated. It's tactically advantageous. I see. The counselor's amphibian eyes blinked in what might have been understanding or might have been ongoing shock. I believe the council has much to learn about humanity. And we have much to learn from you, Lisa added diplomatically. That's what makes this partnership valuable. As they walked toward the docking bay, Max leaned toward Lisa and whispered, Did you really need to make that whole speech about us being terrifying? Did you really need to disable an entire space station's power grid and execute a hostile boarding party in under 5 minutes? Fair point. Behind them, the Galactic Council began the long process of understanding what it meant to have humanity, and all that entailed, as their newest member. The universe, some of them quietly reflected, had just become a much more interesting place, and a much more dangerous one for humanity's enemies.